Welcome back, everyone. Sheepdog Smokey here, and before we get started, make sure that you hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications so that you're kept up to date with all new content. Jumping right into this, it seems that Nancy Pelosi is deeply disappointed by the threat of a 5% tariff working to bring Mexico to the table and have them agree to help with illegal immigration. You see, very recently, Donald Trump told Mexico that if they didn't start helping us to stop illegal immigrants trekking thousands of miles across their country, getting so sick that they can't be helped, and trafficking children and drugs and more, that he would impose 5% tariffs on all goods from Mexico. Within seconds, of course, everyone on the left was crying about how it would kill the avocado market, it would mean that you can't buy a car, and it would do horrible, horrible things. Now, the tariffs were supposed to take effect on Monday, 10 June. And if you are reading this now, or if you've already read this article, you'll know that President Lopez Obrador has basically said, okay, yes, we'll help. Their National Guard is being deployed to the southern border of Mexico, as well as to other places in Mexico. Asylum seekers who do come into the country illegally are going to now be quickly returned to Mexico to wait on that process going forward. And other things are being done as well. Basically, Mexico is now working with us to stop thousands upon thousands of people forming caravans, marching across the entirety of their country to basically start demanding that we not enforce our laws. And Democrats are upset about it. Well, I would say I'm surprised, but I'm not. Because, of course, without illegal immigrants, Democrats really have nothing in their platform. Joe Biden has already said we have a moral obligation to provide free health care to all illegal immigrants. And Nancy Pelosi has called them everything under the sun except what they are, illegal immigrants. She even went so far as to chastise Trump for calling MS-13 thugs and gang members just that. Yet when this happens, they're deeply disappointed. And again, I'm not surprised. We know that in California specifically, illegal immigrants are not prevented from getting a driver's license. And with motor voter laws and now ballot harvesting, they're going to be voting in droves and basically continuing to ensure that California stays blue, which means that Pelosi, Waters, Harris, Swalwell, Lieu, Newsom, all of them stay in power and continue drawing their rather large salaries for doing absolutely nothing. None of them have provided any suggestions at all as to how to better enforce our laws. In fact, many of them have demanded almost in exact words that our laws not be enforced. Several of them have said that there would be no enforcement of border laws for several miles from the border, basically meaning that not until they get into American communities can we even think about enforcing our laws. It's amazing to me. We have Robert O'Rourke, who holds a rally in El Paso behind fences, rallying people by the dozens to support his tear down the border wall. We have people screaming that the border wall itself is akin to the Berlin Wall, and those people need to go back to high school history class. Very quick aside on this, the Berlin Wall was built by the Soviets in the middle of Berlin to separate East and West Germany. Berlin itself was not the dividing line of East and West Germany. It was simply part of the concession after World War II that Berlin, the capital, would also be split. We had people building, and this is true, they built hot air balloons to get over the wall. They did everything they could to escape West Germany into East Germany, or East Germany into West Germany. And that is because of Soviet horrors. But you see, that's not a border wall. That is a wall dividing one single city into free and subjugated. A border wall this is the border of our country. This is where our country stops. And we want to enforce our laws. So we're going to build this wall along our border, with a sovereign nation outside of our country so that we can enforce our laws. Two drastically different things. And if you'll notice, Pelosi lives behind a wall and heavily armed guards who will cheerfully escort you to jail for jumping over her wall. Meanwhile, people in El Paso or San Diego or anywhere else along the border are expected to just turn a blind eye to people invading our country in droves. We had the man in San Francisco steal a firearm and kill Kate Steinle. Notice that in that instance, there was no gun control mantra given to the news. There was only, this is a racist trial against a man who murdered a young woman. An illegal immigrant kills Corporal Singh. Nothing about the corporal or anything else other than this is racist to keep people out of the country. I honestly don't know what it's going to take for the Democrats to finally admit that they are basically oblivious to everything going wrong in this country and how there is a simple way to stem the tide. No, it will not completely stop crime, but that's what they, of course, say any solution must do. Any solution must be 100% perfect and turn the world into the Garden of Eden. If it won't do that, we don't even want to try. That's their mantra. And since they know that it won't stop everything, they claim it's useless. We know that children are being used by people they are not related to and then recycled back across the border to the south to be used again to claim asylum. We know that drugs are coming in across the southern border. Of course, Democrats point to, well, we're stopping them at the border crossing, so we don't need a wall. If you had people wanting to invade your home and your door was stopping half of them, would you open your windows? No. You would insist that the physical security of your home be adequate to the task of protecting you inside your home at all points around it. But see, Democrats don't care. For years, they supported a border wall. They promised to build one if Ronald Reagan would sign an amnesty bill, which of course he did because he believed them. Then they went back to business as usual, calling him racist and trying to impeach him. They have said for years there is a crisis at our border. There's a crisis at our border. Donald Trump in 2016 wins the election, and after inauguration says, there's a crisis at our border, let's solve it. Suddenly there's no crisis, and he's the horrible racist. We need to, honestly, we need to hold the Democrats to their own words. We need to make them admit that they care nothing for the security of this country. Make them admit that they don't want to stop illegal immigration. Make them admit they care nothing for Americans murdered, assaulted, raped by illegal aliens. Basically, you hold their feet to the fire and you make them admit that they want to open our borders so that Donald Trump will have appeared to fail, so that they can then use that to say, well, Donald Trump couldn't do it, but I can. And they hope no one will ever actually make the statement of, well, why didn't you do it when you had the chance? And it all is just politics. That's all it is. Democrats are still foaming at the mouth because they couldn't rig an election in 2016. They rigged their primary for Hillary. They had debate questions leaked so that Hillary could prepare for the exact questions, and she still lost. They tried their Russia crap. It failed. Now all they have to fall back on is walls are racist, walls are racist, walls are racist, unless it's mine. And we're going to have to basically force them to stop the political doublespeak and say, I don't care if your town has high crime because you're on the border. That border will remain open because I want it open, because that lets me accuse you of racism, and that lets me win elections. We're at a tipping point. We know the walls work. We know that in El Paso or in McAllen or in San Diego, that the walls are working. They're not meant to stop immigration. They are meant to funnel people to authorized border crossing points where those people can then request to legally enter our country. And now Democrats are running scared because Mexico has fallen in line. Pelosi is deeply disappointed that Trump saying we will impose a 5% tariff on all Mexican goods, meaning it will be harder to sell your goods here than it will be for us to sell ours. She's foaming at the mouth because it worked. And expect more of this over the next week. Expect them to crow that President Trump backed down. Expect them to say he's racist. Expect them to say he knows absolutely nothing about anything he talks about. But watch the results. Trump said a 5% tariff would be imposed on June 10th. We're now at June 8th, and there's already been an agreement reached between Lopez Obrador and Trump and their administrations. It worked, and Democrats can't stand it. But I've talked long enough. Let me know what you think. Just remember, keep the comments civil. We don't learn from an argument, we learn from a debate. As always, please remember to like and share the video, and again, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so that you're among the first to know of all new content as it is posted. Until next time, everyone, have a wonderful day.